So just a quick update on our Rotopax carrier that we've been working on. Made some changes to this, primarily related to, lots of changes actually, but primarily related to the windshield wiper on the rear door of the FJ. And you can see it here. I know this is super rough, but it's actually accurate in terms of its location relative to the mounting points. You can see that I've actually modified the mounting points to what they actually are. I actually pulled the spare tire off, which, is a process because I have a cover on it. I had to take the cover off. Then there's maybe some sort of security panel or something in the hub of the center of the tire. Had to take that out. There's one bolt. Had to take that off and then unbolt it. I think at 3 locations to get the spare tire off. So it's a process. But excuse me. But managed to get it off. Took the dimensions. Located the spindle accurately related to those 4 mounting points of the tire mount, and also the dimensions of the arm. And it's kind of this weird kind of thing where it goes up and then it jogs and then goes up and jogs. Toyota, fantastic. But I also wanted to know what the spacing of the back of that arm is off of the door, mainly because I wanted to make sure that whatever I mount here is going to clear that wiper arm, because I want the wiper arm to still work with this carrier in place. I know some of the ones that are out there don't work with the wiper arm, which I think is unfortunate. So, but this is definitely going to. And part of that is making sure that these little flanges, bent flanges on the edges to actually strengthen and stiffen the plates, are not so dimensionally large that they are going to impact that wiper arm. Okay. The other thing that has to be accommodated is the wiring harness for the backup camera. So, which comes out right about here. It's just kind of under and a little to the left of the wiper arm spindle. So that that'll be accommodated as well. But the rest of it, in terms of how it's going to be reinforced and how the 2 pieces are going to be connected together, really hasn't changed. The flange for the part that's actually going to carry the Rotopax jugs and the high lift jack is going to be connected using lag bolts that are going to come in from the backside. These are square head lag bolts. So the square head is actually going to keep that bolt from turning in the opening, square cutouts. And then we'll just bolt down to that. And those are going to be all 10 millimeter. So everything that connects on the back of this, even the bolts that connect into the FJ, are all 10 millimeter. Okay, the one thing we haven't done yet is we haven't located the holes yet for the mounting plate for the Rotopax jugs. So I'm still working on that. But we have located the square holes for the lag bolts that are going to connect the high lift jack, and those are going to be. I'll talk about that in a second. But anyway, those locations have been identified. They're going to be adjusted probably a little bit once we actually have the high lift jack in hand, because I want to double check all those dimensions to make sure it's right. But for now it's close enough. I just wanted to make sure it was going to work with the size of all these pieces as I currently have them. Okay, so let's go to the next scene. Sorry, this is a little long-winded. It always is, unfortunately, with me. Okay, so adding the spare tire. We've shown this before. There's nothing magical about this. Okay, let's go to the next scene. Now we're going to spin it around to the other side. Here's that little platform shelf with a reinforced gusset. That's going to be welded on. By the way, this is all 1/8 inch aluminum 5052. It's going to be powder coated, light texture, matte black. There is an opening in this particular piece just to remove some metal and reduce weight a little bit, but that's about it. It's not going to affect the stiffness or the strength of that piece. You can see the 2 square holes for the mounting points for the high lift jack, but I don't have the 4 mounting holes yet for the mounting plate for the Rotopax. I actually, after getting a extremely accurate model of, I'll show it in a second, but extremely accurate model of the high lift jack itself, which is, I'm using a 42 inch full cast. I was actually able to make this shelf a little narrower. So it's the same length, but I made it a little narrower. I think I made it 1 inch narrower, just to reduce metal, and also I just didn't need the extra metal. So it's fine. I'm going to be putting a 5mm rubber base on this, just to minimize any kind of vibration, and it'll just make a nice place for the base of that of the high lift jack to sit. Okay, let's go to the next scene. Sorry, I'm still have a little head cold. I can't seem to shake this thing. Okay, so this looks a lot different from what I previously drew. It's the difference between actually downloading a model that somebody actually accurately made and something that I just whipped up in a matter of a few minutes. But you can see that, the high lift jack, if you're familiar with these things, it's made up of various components that all kind of work together to make it work. There's the handle, which you pump in order to actually do the jacking up and down. There's the rail with holes in it that this lifting part moves up and down on. There's a kind of a little hook piece, which actually is the thing that you actually hook onto your vehicle, or hook onto something that hooks onto your vehicle. I'm probably going to be using a lift mate on the tires to do it on the FJ. And then there's this sort of body that actually moves up and down on this. And then, of course, the base. So, but and one of the things that I was thinking about from the get-go on this is, how do I lock this thing up? And I'm not showing this in the drawing just because I don't have an accurate representation of this. I could probably fab something up or draw something up and make it reasonably close, but it's not really necessary. But High Lift offers essentially a locking knob that actually screws onto it's 1/2 inch threaded. It screws onto a bolt or screw, and that provides, and it's keyed, and that provides locking. You don't really only need one of them. You don't need 2. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lag bolt from the backside in 2 places. This upper one is probably the one that's going to get the lock. The lower one is just going to get a twist knob, just like I'm showing it. And I'm just going to get that from McMaster Car. So these are 1/2 inch bolts, 3.5 inch. Again, nothing magical about that. But it's just a simple way to kind of secure the thing and keep it from going anywhere. And it'll be locked and secure. So really happy about that. Okay, next scene. All right, here's the jugs. I had to adjust it a little bit to clear, and I'll show it in the next scene, to clear the high lift jack. Okay. Actually, not the scene, the next scene. But this is just kind of showing the whole thing together, and I'm not going to animate this or anything, but you can see at the top of the high lift there is a kind of a keeper thing. It's a little rubber thing that you can buy. You can get it on Amazon. Fits over the top of the high lift, and basically the only thing that this does is it just keeps that arm, the arm that actually actuates this thing, from flopping down or flopping around, and just keeps all of that secure in one piece. And just it's just a good thing to have if you've got a high lift and you're moving it around, especially over anything that's going to cause any vibration. It's just a good thing to have. Okay, next scene. Actually, this scene is not that exciting. It just goes back, so we will skip right through this and go to the next scene. So now we've got the two-dimensional view. Now you can see the proximity here, and this is why I had to adjust things, because I didn't quite have this dimension from the end of this lifting point to the other side of the high lift correct. So, but having this helps a lot. Now, of course, once I get the high lift, double check all these dimensions. But again, I think this is close enough for now, just to make sure I have it. And because of this increasing, I had to push the jugs out a little further, I think about 2 inches. And I also increased the length of the mounting plate 2 inches to accommodate that. So it's no big deal. But it's good, it's good to have an accurate representation of what you're actually wanting to mount. So let's go to the next scene. Now we're going to spin it around to the other side. And now you can see it from the other side. And again, we're not showing these mounting points. Now, what I'm probably going to use for the mounting plate for the Rotopax are lag bolts coming in from the backside. And the reason why I like these lag bolts, one is they are, as opposed to a nut on the backside coming in from the other side, is they're relatively low profile. That's one good thing, especially on anything close to the door. So that gives us really tight dimensions and helps us clear that wiper arm. So it's a big part of that. The other thing it does is it provides security. So not putting nuts on the back of this thing keeps it, especially with its kind of exposed state here, keeps those bolts secure, because there's nothing to put a wrench on, which is super helpful. Okay, so let's go to the next scene. So now we're going to look at kind of a close-up of what's actually happening with the mounting plate. And I know this drawing there's like a lot of crazy detail going on here, but you can see the bolts that are mounting back through here. And of course, I'm not showing the tire carrier, mainly because it's unnecessary to draw it, but it's going to be mounting at these 4 mounting points. You can, in profile, you only see 2. You can see the spindle for the wiper arm coming through here, a representation of that. And you can just barely see the lag bolts and the heads of those lag bolts, those 10 millimeter lag bolts coming through here and here. Now, the other thing you can just barely see are the spacers. So because of the lag bolts and the space we need for those lag bolt heads, we have to put spacers on the door, between the mounting plate and the door itself. And it's not a lot. It's only, I don't know. I think it's 6 millimeters. So it's not a lot, but it just has to be enough so that the heads of the lag bolts are not touching the metal. Because even though that metal on the door is really nothing anybody's ever going to see, I still want to protect it as best I can. So anyway, that's our update on the Rotopax carrier. Still far from finished, but a lot further along. And honestly, compared to a lot of other things I'm working on the FJ, this is a lower priority, but it is a fun project to keep thinking about and keep working on, and keep planning for. So, yeah, hopefully, I don't know, sometime in the next 6 months or so, I'll have this done. At least that's kind of my hope. But there's a lot of other things I need to work on in the FJ. Primarily the inside furniture for that vehicle. I need to get that done, and that's sort of the big gorilla, the 800-pound gorilla, not elephant, gorilla. I don't know. That's in the room that we have to address and get that thing done, because that's really kind of what the whole build is about. So anyway, hope you enjoyed. If you have any comments or questions, I will do my best to answer. Take care. See ya. Bye.